This is an episode of
I think we're all good. All right. Nick. Well, first thing I should ask, how do you pronounce your last name, man? So I can pronounce your name right.
Collini.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. You know, I was telling everybody this week, I'm getting a podcast with Nick Collini, so I'm glad, I got it right.
Okay. Sick.
How are you doing, man? How are you doing? First day of May? Is it nice out?
Yeah, it's like pretty nice out. It's been like pretty rainy here. Like I live in like St. Catharines, just outside Toronto right now. So yeah, it's like pretty sunny out, pretty nice. Had breakfast outside.
Dude, that's amazing. Yeah. It's the same thing here, man. It's just like I'm in Iowa right now. I'm back home from school. It's just beautiful. I saw it was the first day of May, and it's fitting. It's a wonderful morning. We got some tea. What are you drinking if you're not drinking Earl Grey?
Just like straight green, organic green tea. Just like that's like the go-to, honestly. Green or like just like something herbal that's like low caffeine, because I don't know. I try to drink like as much like tea as I can, and then like I'll have like one coffee in a day. But I'm trying to like get off coffee because it's just like I don't know. It doesn't do me good later in the day. I just crash for sure. So like trying to stick to tea, but just green.
Dude, I feel I've been trying to get back into coffee. I had to stop for a while just because I had like stomach issues, but I'm on decaf now. It's kind of nice because I'll drink like caffeinated tea in the morning and then decaf coffee. I just like the flavor of it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
yeah. You ever drink matcha?
I do. Yeah, matcha's awesome. Also mate. Have you tried mate? It's like Argentinian.
Yeah, I've just had like the can of it, but like the yerba mate, but pretty fire. It's a lot of caffeine.
Yeah, it's a lot of caffeine, and it has this weird like euphoric effect too.
Okay,
It's like it's interesting. I haven't actually tried like the can version. Is it good? Iced?
Okay. Yeah, it's like I haven't had it iced. I just had it at like room temperature, but like it's like I don't drink like energy drinks, so it's like a good like alternative to that. So it's cool. It's like it tastes like an iced tea basically, but it's pretty fire. I like your tea like bag holder or like
the
diffuser.
Yeah,
it's dope.
People can make fun of me for not taking it out, man, but I leave it in, man. I drink too much tea. I can't be like taking time and just taking it out every time I try to drink a cup, So that's where I'm at. So you're on this podcast today. I've been following you for a while, like actually like years now. I really like what you do with Trilogy and your design work.
Thank you.
How'd you get into it? Like what made you start just making clothes and also just starting with the design practice and whatnot?
So I mean, I've kind of always been into clothes, like just like since I was younger. So I guess it kind of started with like wanting to like make clothes for myself, but like with like my own designs on it. So like for probably like a year or so, I was just making like one-off stuff for myself. And then, I mean, it kind of like, typical, but like from there, like my homies and stuff just wanted to wear stuff. So I would just like be doing like one-off items basically for like the homies. They were just like the worst quality, just like, cause like when you're doing like minimum, like one orders, like you can't do like really high quality, like screen printing and stuff, or at least like you can if you don't have, the equipment yourself. So it's just like some of the worst quality like clothes that I've ever made, but like all the homies would like rep it every day, like on like I went to like a Catholic school, so like we had like uniforms, but every like out of uniform day it was like the whole set would like rep Trilogy. But yeah, so like from there I just like I've kept doing it. In September it'll be like 5 years since I printed my first shirt, so like just like kind of stuck with it. And I guess like from that I had like a homie, well I guess like he's like more of a mentor. He's like 10 years older than me. His name's Sinead. He's like a DJ, and we met, and he ended up needing like, design work done for his like touring and stuff. He's like, yo, like you should be like my creative director. And I was like in grade 11, and like the work I was showing him was like really, really brutal, like looking back at it. But like, he was like, yo, like this is sick. You should like do my stuff. I was like, for sure. So that's kind of how I got into more like direction and like graphic design, like outside of like making clothes. Mm-hmm. And basically every job that he would give me would be like, yo, like, can you do like tour backgrounds or a video? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then I would just like Google how to do that, or like, can you make this? And that's basically how like I learned like most of the stuff that I do now is like, just people would ask me, can you do this? And I would just say yes, like right off rip, and just like learn how to do it like that way. And it was like a super good way to like learn. And like, I still do that. Like I've had like jobs like super recently actually that like people were like, yo, like I need this done by Friday. Like, do you know anyone who could do this? And I'll just be like, oh, I can do it. And I'll just like learn how to do it and like learn on their dime instead of my own. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into like what I do now.
Damn, dude. Yeah, that's this sort of mentality of just like taking any job, I feel like is so necessary, and it definitely helps just move yourself forward with your work. Do you find that is what has, progressed from, you said like in grade 11, having that work at that point to where you are now? Is it just taking all these jobs? Is there a more deliberate, like, I'm sitting down studying sort of thing, or is it just a matter of building on the work?
I think like definitely building on the work, and also just like, I mean, not only just like taking jobs as they come to you, but just like reaching out to like every opportunity that you see, like as if it's an internship, or, if it's like a position, like even, I think, like Nick from Holiday.
Yep.
He put out like a call out a few months ago for like Holiday was looking for new designers. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just like send something in. And I sent my portfolio to him, and we had met each other like years back at like a Brockhampton concert back in like 2017. I was like back in grade 11 again. And we met him, and I ended up like drawing a picture of him, and he followed me back on Instagram, like way back then, 3 years ago. So he like kind of knew who I was, because like he followed me on Instagram for a minute. And after like reaching out, I like heard back from the team, and like now I'm doing like designs for them. I've been doing them for like a minute, working on like their next collection. But like even that, and like a lot of stuff like that, it's like I like just like, maybe this will work out, maybe it won't. Like I might as well just like shoot my shot and like send something in. And like that's usually how it comes, like progressive, like bigger work and stuff. Like, so yeah, I'd say like, I guess to answer your question, like taking work as it comes to you has probably been like progressing my work. And then also just like reaching out and trying to get every work that you can has been like progressing like my skill set and stuff, less than like sitting down and like trying to learn stuff. Like right now I'm like trying to learn like 3D, which is like a hassle, because like I don't have any jobs that are like pushing me to do that. So I'm like so unmotivated to just like sit down and watch like YouTube tutorials. So it's like weird. But yeah, I'd say more like just like doing work and learning like as I go, probably.
Yeah, I feel you. What 3D software are you trying to learn on? I weirdly did so much 3D modeling when I was like 13 because of I got into graphic design by like being a Minecraft YouTube graphic designer. I'd like try to make the banners for people and like edit the Yeah, so it's just like obscure. I was using Cinema 4D at the time. What are you working with?
I'm trying to learn on Blender right now, just because it's like free and stuff, and I find like most people that I know work on that. But yeah, like I said, like I've barely just like dipped my toes in, so it's like a totally different thing for me. Even like trying to like get better at Illustrator too, to be honest, because like I can use Illustrator and I'm like pretty fluent in it, but like I learned everything in Photoshop, like all logos and stuff, and I kind of regret that, like in retrospect, 'cause I feel like you could learn Illustrator and then like move into Photoshop a lot easier than like vice versa. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Blender. Sorry, I keep like answering your questions and then just like going off on like
dude, adding on is tight. That's what I need. The yeah, Illustrator is definitely essential, especially just because of it works in vectors and you can scale it. I also like how it's kind of like shape building. It's just it's just like a combination of shapes, and I think it's for me personally, it's a more enjoyable platform to use. But you said you haven't been. I'd imagine you know how to use it all right, but you're just trying to get even better at it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I can use Illustrator. Like I can pretty much do whatever I need in Illustrator. But like now I'm forcing myself, like if I need to do something and it could go either way, then I'm like forcing myself to do it in Illustrator because like I know I could like just get better at that than I am in Photoshop.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Photoshop has all those like really cool, obviously like photo editing capabilities with like the gradients though, which I noticed a lot of your work actually, and I feel like has involved like these interesting gradients and also the typeface work that you do is good too. Is that done on Photoshop?
I'd say like mostly like some of the stuff I'll do on Illustrator because like you can, like you said, you can kind of work with like the curves and stuff of like letters. If it's like a more simple thing, like just like a type, like I'll definitely be working on Illustrator. But like I've done, I did this thing for this guy Skizzy Mars like years back at the end of like high school, and that was kind of like a combination of a bunch of stuff because basically it was like it looks like kind of like ransom notes with like these like little like letters cut out and stuff. So that I like put all these letters on a document in Photoshop in different fonts, printed them out, and then like actually ripped them by hand and scanned them back into my computer. And then I'd like cut them all out. And then in Photoshop, I would like play with the colors and stuff. But that was like, yeah, I'd say like I kind of do it in both. Like I don't really stick to one for like type necessarily, but yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. I have a friend who's good friends with Skizzy Mars and like did his merch for that tour in particular. So I know I've seen that sick cover. Yeah. Did you do that whole cover? Or was it the type?
Did. Yeah. So like I was working at the time I was like interning for this company called Moonbase. So I did all the type and Nico Nice. He did like the background, like the you know, like the figure of like Skizzy Mars. So like I did the type for like all the singles and the album. And then yeah, he would just like do the background and like touch it up and stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're working with the holiday team right now. I imagine that's gotta be so interesting. They're totally, I feel like just at the top, like the pinnacle of almost like just streetwear now as it is. And I say that kind of loosely because it's also streetwear versus fashion. Honestly, the line is as thin as it's ever been. So even just in the fashion space, they're sort of at the top. How is that?
It's really interesting. It's really sick. Like yeah, like I've been working with them since February. It's basically like going to be like a long-term freelance type thing. And I can't say like a ton because of like I had to sign like NDA and stuff, but like yeah, it's been sick because it's like I mean like I said, I've been working on Trilogy for years, and it's kind of like become a pretty like specified vision, and like kind of like it's got like a feeling to it. And like even when they're interviewing me, they're like, yo, like it's cool because like not that you're like the same or anything, but like the Trilogy and like holiday kind of like vibes kind of like could like overlap, and like they could see how like my work could kind of fit into like their style. But like for the past however many months I've been working for them, it's been interesting because like I'm not anymore just working with like my vision. I'm working with like someone else's thing that they've been, you know, working on for years and like kind of like honing in on. So like it's really interesting kind of like keeping my sensibilities and like work and like aesthetic like consistent, but like also trying to fit it into like what Nick's already done with the brand. And like a lot of the times like I'll like send him work and I'll set like, dude, I've done so many graphics in the past like however many months, because like I was just like I thought that the timeline was going to be way like slimmer than it was. So I was just on like turbo mode for like weeks and weeks. I was just sending him like decks and decks of like designs, just like literally like over 100 designs in like the course of like a month and a half, which is like crazy to say. And like, especially because they weren't just like, okay, this is just like I'll just do this quick and like see if he likes it. It was like, I was like putting in time for each graphic, but like there's like a lot of times where like I'll send him like a batch of graphics. I'm like, okay, this one's really sick. Like, I think this one's like really good. And then this one's like, you know, it's kind of whatever. And then it'll be the exact opposite. Like Nick really likes this one that I'm like not even feeling, and vice versa. So it's kind of been really interesting just like working with a team that's like, in like a similar space and like has like a similar like sensibilities for like aesthetics and stuff, but like at the same time it's like a different person, different taste. So it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, imagine just like you've been doing this for 5 years now, and or coming up on 5 years, and working with a team all of a sudden. That's it's a switch up, and also like taking on that role of designing for a different brand's aesthetic. I know personally, like I get so ingrained in my own sort of design practice that the idea of hopping out and designing for a sort of different like company or aesthetic would be that's got to be difficult, man. At least it would be at first until I got used to it. Did you notice it was a little difficult at first, or was it pretty smooth?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing freelance for like a minute now too, so like I'm kind of at this point like a little bit used to like not so much like tempering like my own taste, but just like trying to like fit into like other people's taste. Like there's a lot of times where you'll be doing like work for a client and it's like you think that this could go like so much farther and like you could like do so many different things and just like spend way more time on it, but like it's like the first idea that they really gravitate towards, and like you kind of just got to like not like hold your work so precious. Like you got to just kind of like be like, okay, this is like a job at the end of the day, and like this is what they want, and that's like what I'm trying to do. So like you got to just kind of like run with it and be like, okay, this is like their vibe, or like even just like doing work that it's maybe not my favorite work, but I'm still going to make sure it's done to like the best of my abilities. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling right now, but like, yeah, it wasn't like a crazy, like difficult transition. Cause like, I've been kind of like doing freelance for a minute where I've had to like, you know, like try and fit into like other people's sort of expectations or like what they're like wanting out of me, rather than like Trilogy is kind of just like, you know, exactly what I want. And like, I mean, to an extent, there's also times in Trilogy where I'm like, damn, like I would really, really like to like drop this tea. Like, I don't know if this would like sell, like, and like, I'd rather like drop something that like, I know like people are going to gravitate towards than like this thing that's like, you know, I think is really sick. And like, I hope eventually like I can get to the point where I can just like, everything that I think is sick is going out, and everything that I think is maybe like cool, but like not my favorite thing in the world is like kind of like scrapped. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't like a crazy like transition. It was pretty smooth, but yeah.
I see. The yeah, you're popping out like a bunch of design, like all the stuff that's in design school that I'm learning myself. They're like, yeah, you got to be ready to hop into other people's visions, design for other people. That's like the mark of a professional designer. And you mentioned one other thing that fit into sort of design 101 that's interesting that I have yet to integrate, but it's slipping me right now. Trilogy right now, where are you with that? I know that you've got the lab, like Trilogy Lab, where you're doing kind of the one of ones. That's correct, right? And then
yeah.
And then you also have kind of a different line where it's not the one of ones, correct?
Yeah.
Where is Trilogy right now in your eyes?
Yeah. So yeah, like I'm kind of just like literally in the past week starting to work on like season 3. So basically like for a minute I was just kind of like doing like seasonal collections, as in like fall, winter, spring, summer. And I kind of realized through that I was like, it's not like, I don't really want fashion to be so much like a cycle like that. And I don't want to have to like feel forced to like drop like 4 collections in a year if I really think like maybe like, you know, 8 of those items of the whole year like really, really good. So like I kind of transitioned to doing this like, I don't know, kind of like easy season type beat where it's like season 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can kind of just like move at my own pace and then just do like smaller drops in between. So like a few weeks ago I dropped like just like some sweats and socks because like I just wanted to like get those out, but I didn't really feel like they fit into like a whole like seasonal collection. So I guess like the seasonal collections are like full like bodies of work that kind of like are like a batch of clothes, and then like I'll do like loosey kind of drops in between those, and like the lab thing is kind of just like, honestly it's like one of ones, and like I feel like it's like such like a buzzword, and like it's like the whole sustainability thing is like very much just like popping right now. But I kind of just like started it honestly as like an excuse to like get better at like sewing and stuff, and like force myself to like make stuff that's like not just like a screen printed t-shirt, and also just like open up like maybe I want to like do some more like runway type stuff. So anyways, yeah, I'm basically like where Trilogy's at right now. I'm working on like season 3, and it should be out like probably, I want to say late May, but like early June, most likely. And then from there, I'm really not sure what's going to happen. I've got like most of the items like kind of down. I just have to like finish some of the designs on them. But like on like a grander scale, I think like Trilogy's like kind of like, it's like, I was kind of grappling in the past like month with like, honestly, like on the 5-year anniversary, I was like, maybe I should just like wipe the slate and just like start, like rebrand it, start from scratch with everything that I know now. Because like 5 years ago, it was like a t-shirt, like a direct to garment printed t-shirt that's like super brutal quality, like not great. So like, as much as I've been doing it for 5 years, I haven't been doing it like at the level that I'm doing it, I think, for 5 years. Like I haven't been like as knowledgeable as I am for 5 years. So my mindset was kind of like, oh, maybe I want to like just like not scrap it, but like archive everything and just like get a new name and just like start it from scratch with like everything I know now and like make the product like as perfect as possible. And I was like thinking about that for a few weeks, but like where I was really like running into issues, I was like, I like, as much as it hasn't been perfect for 5 years, it's like 5 years is still like a proof of concept of like, I have been doing this for 5 years, and like, I don't really want to get lumped in with like the 100,000 like other companies that are starting every day. You know what I mean? So like, I think like even if your work isn't like as perfect as you'd like it to be up until like a point, it doesn't mean you should like scrap or like archive everything you've done, because like it is like I said, like a proof of concept. But anyways, yeah, like I kind of just like got rid of that idea completely. I was like, I'm gonna run with it, because like the whole like rebrand thing was also coming from a place where I was like, I've been really into like bootleg t-shirts lately, and like making like stuff for like bands and like movies and like TV shows that like never got an actual like proper merch treatment. Like there's these guys from Toronto called like Screwface Entertainment. They're like really sick. There's this guy Edgar Gonzalez, and he's like really sick, but like I was like, I don't know, like I don't think it would fit into like Trilogy. Like it just doesn't like make sense for the brand. And like as much as I like was like, I really want to like do these t-shirts, but like that doesn't mean that like Trilogy or like what it represents or like what it can do is like broken. It kind of just means like more like it's so specific that like I know exactly what should fit into it and like what shouldn't fit into it. So I've actually kind of come up with like a solution for it, and like I can't like talk to it that much. I've been like, I mean, I don't know, probably would be like not that hard to find. But, like I've been running like a sort of secret Instagram account, just making like bootlegs, and also making like I've been making shorts from scratch, like sewing them by hand. So that also kind of fits into it. And like I'm sure I'll like talk more about it when it's like a fully formed thing. But like as of now, it's kind of more just like an archive page, just like for myself. And like I've been making like one-off like shorts and like other like hand sewn stuff, bags and that sort of thing that like I don't think would fit into Trilogy. And then like also like bootleg tees, like I said, like I've just been doing like I did like a graphic for like an Eames chair, like the like designer chair, because I just thought it was like sick to like make merch for like a chair. Like I thought that was like so sick. But yeah, anyways, I like as for like Trilogy, I feel like it's kind of like I know exactly like what place I want it to fill, and that's just like exactly what I'm doing with right now. So yeah, again, I keep going on these tangents, but like
dude, that's like perfect though. It gives me so much to work with. Yeah, it's interesting that you're I can tell that you're sort of, like you said, you're at this point where you were reevaluating, like wiping the slate clean and rebranding, which kind of like you're mentioning comes from this place of, you know, exactly the brand identity of what Trilogy is, and like being the creative you are, and it's like you want to do more, and you know very much where that line is, like what fits inside the company. So in a weird way, you've done such a good job at, I feel like, creating the brand identity and understanding it and being super knowledgeable about it, that you're sort of in this position now where it feels weird to sort of look outside of it. And it's an interesting point for you, I feel like, because as you do start to do these other things, it'll, I'm trying to phrase this the best way. I feel like you're sort of at a transition point because you're looking at all these things that you want to do. You know the brand identity of Trilogy, so I feel like this is a good time to be talking to you about it. Is there any timeline on like on that other stuff that you're looking at doing?
As for like the like shorts and stuff, like I'm honestly just kind of like making them like, I also don't want, like, part of it as well was like I didn't want to like feel pressure to like do a whole size run of these things that like take me like a long time to like make. Yeah. But I also didn't really want to just be like, oh, like there's a one-off pair of shorts on the Trilogy site, because that also just didn't make sense. So right now I'm just making them like for homies. Like I'm literally just making them like made to order. I'm like taking measurements and stuff. So there's really, that's a thing too. Like I'm putting no expectations on it because like I'm not promoting it at all. And also part of the reason why I'm not promoting it is because like I've got like Trilogy, like I said, and then like in October, I kind of launched this like studio-ish sort of side of like what I do called like Don't Be Me Be You. And that kind of like holds like all my like freelance work. It's like my website and stuff. And like I put like playlists up on there. And basically it's like a place where like my portfolio can live. But I didn't want to like call it like nickcollini.com as much as like that's basically what it is. But like, so what was I saying? Yeah. So like, I'm not really having any expectations or timeline on it because I'm not promoting it, because like I feel like as much as like people are like so like multifaceted and stuff, and it's like, oh, like I'm a multidisciplinary creative, like that's sick. But like I feel like people as an audience can only like absorb so many different sides of you when you actually put labels on the things you do. So I didn't want to be like, yo, like I do Trilogy, and then I also like have a thing that's like my freelance work, and then I also have another clothing brand that does like this. I just like I feel like it kind of like dilutes you. Yeah, like there's I don't think there's an issue with like say like I don't know, someone who's like I'm an actor and I'm a musician and I'm this and I'm this. Like that's like kind of easy to like understand because like there's not like names or like brands attached to like each of these things. But like when it comes to like running a clothing brand, running a freelance thing, like a studio-ish thing, and then making another clothing brand, I just feel like people wouldn't even be able to like I'm sure like most people, like some people will be like, okay, sick, like I get that. But like a lot of people I feel just like, okay, so why do you have two of this thing? Or like why, you know, I just don't think it would like be able to like be absorbed as well as like how I have it right now is just like this disconnected thing that like I am not promoting at all. I'm literally just doing it for me at this point and seeing where it grows to. And it's also mainly just like a experiment anyways. But yeah, like I guess on that note, like I don't really have any timelines attached to it. And that actually feels really sick because it's like, I just finished like my first year of school like a few weeks ago. So I'm kind of in this spot where like for the past 2 weeks, I've literally just been chilling, like watching movies, like, and sewing, like, and that's it. And, I mean, I can't like talk to it that much, but I that's probably going to change like really soon. Cause like I just had a job interview and stuff like a week ago that went pretty well for like a different company. So, and I mean, I'm off like holiday right now. Cause like pretty much the next collection is like set. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm doing basically like right now, I'm just like completely decompressing, chilling. And like, that's kind of like the way that I'm looking at this company is just like taking it at the pace I want to, as much as like, that's probably going to change soon, like very soon. Cause I think I'm going to be moving back to Toronto this month or in May probably. So, but yeah, as for timeline, I'm kind of just chilling with it.
That's the best. That's the best. It gives you time to actually, I don't know, I as creatives in this, like in the space that we are right now in the digital space, everything's moving so fast. And I feel like it can sneak up on you and it can become very overwhelming very quick. So having like the opportunity to just kind of keep things separate and not be attached to any sort of, I don't know, expectations. The second that you put a name on what you're doing, like you're saying, it just all of a sudden people expect things. If you don't say anything for a month, people are like, what's going on? And
totally.
So I think that's really cool that like you're deciding to do it that way and get get better at sewing, and do all that. You said, so you're on holiday right now. Where do you go to school?
I go to school at Ryerson. It's in downtown Toronto. I was on campus for the second semester because first semester things were like still pretty hectic with COVID, and like things are now like way more hectic with COVID. But I just lived on campus for the second semester. Honestly, has nothing to do with school because like I was still doing everything online. It was more just like to be like in Toronto because that's like where a lot of my homies and like people that I work with are. And I was just kind of like building connections that way. So yeah, I just finished. I came back actually a little early because like things were like really hectic. I don't know what it's like right now where you are like in Iowa, but it's like we had like another like pretty major lockdown, and I was just like, I don't want to be like here right now. Like if I'm going to be like just chilling doing nothing, I'd rather just be chilling doing nothing like at my house. So I'm just kicking it like at the crib right now. I've been doing that for like the past couple of weeks, but I'm probably gonna be moving back, not onto campus, but I'm gonna be moving in with like a homie like soon, and like for work. But yeah, so yeah, I go to school in Toronto, which is like, I mean, yeah, it's like the biggest city in Canada. And it's like, even like talking to like the holiday team when I was getting interviewed, they're like, yo, like you're in Toronto right now. Would you ever like, are you trying to like move to LA? Like, are you like, what's your like plan? Or like, what's like, are you trying to like get there eventually? And I was like, honestly, like, no, man, like Toronto is sick. Like Toronto's like really sick. And like, people don't even know, like there's like a million people who are like doing really, really cool stuff that like, they don't even like publicize that they're from Toronto. It's like, there's so much going on. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I think Toronto's like really sick. It's like my favorite city that I've ever been in. So
yeah, I've been really wanting to visit actually. Kent, where I go to school, is only like 5 hours away from Toronto because we're on the same Great Lake, I think. Maybe. Okay. Yeah. I've heard it's really cool. What's the creative scene there like? You just mentioned it's cool, but like, is there anything else you got to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like everyone knows everyone, and like it's like it's a huge city. Like it's like the biggest city in Canada, but it's like there's like it's such a close linked like creative like city. I find like there's just like, I mean, I kind of like not so much grew up, but like from like in high school and like especially like the year after high school, because like I took a year off in between school and university. I was going there like once a month at least, just because like I'm only a few hours away. And it's just like everyone knows everyone, like everyone's done work for everyone else, or like they just like are like, oh yeah, like I've like met that person before, or like they have mutual friends. And like there's been so many times where like I've met someone and been like, oh, do you know like person A, B, or C? And that's like been the jumping off point for like some really, really cool like connections, or just like you know, just like work together. Like, I mean, there's even been points where I'm like I'll be like, yo, like I follow you on Instagram. Like I'm in this thing called like the House program as well, which is like in Toronto. It's like run by like XO, like the Weekends like imprint. So like that's basically like a huge group of like creatives from Toronto, like young creatives that they put into this like incubator, and just like we do like, I mean, it was in person for a minute, but then obviously like COVID hit, but they basically do like workshops and that sort of thing. But like I've met so many people from there where I'm like, yo, like I know you from Instagram or whatever. And they're like, oh, sick. And I'm like, do you know like this person and this person? And they're like, oh yeah, what the heck? Like, how do you know like these people? And I'm like it's been the time where I'm like, oh, like I'm like, yo, like my homie Dev now, he like I met him through House, but like we had a bunch of mutuals, and I was like, yo, like, do you know like this person and this person? He's like, yeah, what the heck? I'm like, yeah, like I know those people. He's like, oh, true. I'm like, oh, I did like this typeface for this music video. And he's like, oh, like I know you, like, and it's like there's so many times where like you even like know the work of someone because like they did work for someone who's in Toronto, but you didn't know them as like, or like there's been so many times where like I've seen someone's work and like appreciated their work before meeting them and eventually meeting them. But Yeah, I guess it's just like, it's a really, really thriving, cool city. And it's like small enough that you can like know like basically everyone there, as opposed to like, I don't know, like New York or like LA, where it's like so big and spread out. And there's like, just like so many cool like brands and stuff that are from there. Like, I don't know if you know Better Gift Shop at all, but it's like one of my favorite brands. They're like low-key like huge. Like they have like kiosks in like Dover Street Market in Japan and LA, and their like home base is like Toronto, and they're like home like stores in Toronto. And now I have like a bunch of like, I mean, like I know a lot of people that work there now, which is sick, but like it's really like weird. Like it's a huge company that's like collabing with like Arc'teryx and like Solomon, but like they're low-key just like in Toronto, like in my backyard. So I don't know. There's like a ton of like companies that are like you wouldn't even know they're from Toronto, and they are from Toronto, or like people who do work that you're like, I didn't even know you were like in Toronto, or like whatever. So yeah, it's really sick.
Yeah, that's interesting. It just seems like such, yeah, like a cool place to visit. And you mentioned how it's like it's kind of like the perfect size, and I don't know, in a weird way had that in my head that it would be sort of that way. It's a little bit smaller than New York. Actually, I'm just curious. Do you know about like what size? Is there a city that I would know that it would like compare to size wise? I don't know if you've got one off.
I think it's kind of like, I think it's like, I actually don't know like population wise and stuff, but I've always found it really similar to like Boston or Chicago.
Okay.
Maybe in like kind of like vibe, but like I don't know like size wise, but like yeah, I think like it's like if it's felt really similar to those, because it's like there are like distinct neighborhoods, but it's like pretty much like a city center, and then there's just like suburbs surrounding it, as opposed to like New York is like, you know, like you have to cross a bridge. There's Brooklyn and like you know, West Village and all that stuff. But yeah, I think like kind of like Chicago or Boston.
Cool. Yeah, I was just curious on that.
Yeah.
What are you studying in school?
It's called Creative Industries. It's like a pretty new program. It started in 2015, but it's kind of like a mix between business and arts. And you basically like pick two like disciplines, like one for first year and one for second year to kind of specialize in. So like I'm studying interior design right now, or like I was in my first year, and I was planning on doing fashion second year, but I've actually been advised by like a homie who's in like fourth year. He's like, yo, steer clear, bro. Like fashion is not the way in this like program. So yeah, it's like kind of a mix between business and arts. And yeah, I don't know. I've been like kind of back and forth on it. Like I said, I took a year off in between school, and like in like this past year, I was like, man, like maybe I'm just gonna drop out. Like I don't know, but like where I've really found like I've been enjoying school is like my like electives that have literally nothing to do with like what I'm doing. Like I like just like textile history, or like trans studies that talks about like gender and that sort of thing. It's like so interesting to me, and it's like if for nothing else, I'm really enjoying school for that, and for like that just like sort of like cross-disciplinary like learning of like different experiences and stuff. Like I feel like there's such like a move to be like, yo, like don't do school, just like run with it, just like do your creative thing. But it's like, dude, like there's so much to school that like you don't even like think. It's not just about like getting like a degree and stuff. It's about like being like well versed and like educated in like a bunch of subjects that people are like, oh man, like you could just read that or just Google that. It's like, yeah, but you won't. Like you're never going to be in a position where you're like forced to learn these things, or like have the motivation to like learn these things. So like I'm really enjoying school on that front. And also you're just like my homie Dev again that I was talking about earlier. He was like, he graduated like maybe last year, and he's now working for like a huge like advertising company in Toronto called Cassette. And he's like, yeah, like you're never going to be in a position where you're like surrounded by people that are your age, focused on the exact same thing as you. And like, you have no pressure to like be doing anything else. And I was like, damn, that's like so true. Like you're never in your life going to be like surrounded by like all people that are your age, who are like, maybe, you know, some of them are doing cool stuff, maybe some aren't, but like, that's even just from a business perspective. It's like, dude, like that's like a million people you can just tap into and like link with, and like I'm not trying to like be like, oh, like let's link and build whatever, but it's like that's just like a like I don't know, that's just like a business thing too. Like there's like there's like a million people who are like will just buy your stuff or like support you just because they go to the same school as you. Like that's sick. Like and yeah, I was gonna say something, but I think it slipped my mind. But like even just like yeah, like what I was gonna say is like someone also said, like my homie Kevin, who's like the sickest dude. He like I met him when I was in grade 10. He managed the Stussy store in Toronto for like a long time, and now he works at Better and stuff, like Better gift shop. But like he was like I was like, yeah, man, I don't know, like maybe I'm gonna drop out. And he's like true, like that's fine, because he like ended up dropping out too, like when he was younger. But like he's like, you got to make sure you're like you have something and like a reason to drop out. Like if you're like able to do everything that you're doing now and do school, it's like choose that. Like don't like drop out like preemptively because like, oh, it might be getting in the way. It's like in reality, like if like your school is getting in the way or not. Like I know that like I'm able to like do school, get it done. I mean, it's obviously online right now and it kind of like makes a difference, but like I know for sure that I'm able to like get to class, get like decent grades, and then also do like, like work for holiday, make my own stuff, and it's not an issue. So like, why would you even like think about just like dropping one of those things? Because it's like, I feel like I'm on like 100% mode right now as far as like making my own stuff. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think it would make a difference if I just like dropped school. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I feel that's sort of like a really interesting perception of it. I totally, the whole like don't go to college thing is like so prevalent. I swear it's like a trend to say that. And I think that's coming from a lot of people who perhaps like went to school for a little bit and didn't end up using their degree because they were viewing it in that way, in a sort of like vocational, I'm going to school to learn the skills of my trade, and then I'm going to hopefully use my degree to get a job, and then they don't end up using it. It's useless. But like, as you were saying, the education piece of it is really where I find the benefits. At least right now, being like a first year fashion student, a lot of what I'm learning is just like the base principles of fashion, and it's stuff that isn't super interesting. Some of it's pretty interesting, but I'm also a philosophy student, and those classes have been just like life-changing almost, even in just the short amount of time that I've had them. So it's like the educational piece can have, I don't know, such a big impact on you. And I would almost tell people to go to college and try it out and see if you notice that same impact too. Because I mean, it's been really good for sure, like the educational piece. And if I wasn't doing philosophy though, I feel like I would be in a position where I'd be kind of questioning it a little bit too. I think that the program I'm in does get more interesting later on. Actually, no, it does. It's just first year's fundamentals, but I'd be in a position to question things a lot more if I wasn't sort of doing a more balanced education with the philosophy piece. And that kind of speaks to what you were saying with those other classes aren't necessarily in your major. Yeah.
Even like I just know me, like I feel like, how old are you? Are you like 19 as well or 18?
Yeah, I'm 19.
Okay. True. Yeah. 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sick. Yeah. Cause I think in the US, you guys go to school a year later than us or something. Cause like I took a year off, but we're in the same year. Anyways, like, I just know for me, I'm just like, I'm constantly putting this pressure on myself that I'm like, I got to be doing stuff like all the time. Like I got to be like constantly like making stuff, progressing, like getting more jobs. And like, I forget a lot of the time that I'm like 19 and like most kids are like just doing school and like, that's it. Like, so when I'm like, it makes it a lot easier to like check myself when like I maybe have like a week where I'm just going to read and like go for runs and just like chill. And like, that's it. Like, it makes me feel a lot better taking that week to do that when I'm like, I'm also doing school. Like that's like the baseline is like, I'm already doing that. So everything that I'm doing above and beyond that is like a bonus. Like there's not a lot of people who are like, I'm doing school and then I'm also doing like a million other things. So like, it just like kind of just gives me like a really good like baseline where I'm like, okay, at the very least, I'm like doing school right now. Like that's sick. Like so I don't know. It helps me to like check myself, because like a lot of the time I'll be like, I got to be like making making stuff all the time, always like getting jobs, and like that's like it was like the peak of that for me back in like 20 like February 2020, because like I was doing like an internship right out of high school, and I ended up leaving there in January of 2020. And so there was like basically a month, 2 months where I was just like, I went from like having work put in front of me like every single day, like that I had to get done, and like jobs put in front of me, to like, okay, you're on your own, and like you gotta like make your own jobs and like make your own work to be done. So like that stressed me out so much, because I was like I don't know, like I was just like, man, like I don't feel like I'm working hard enough, and I don't feel like I'm doing enough stuff. And like that, like it was like brutal. And then like COVID hit in March, and it was basically like, okay, now you're like forced to like do nothing. Like you have to like chill, basically. So like it really like put things in perspective for me. And like through like the like first quarantine and stuff, I was like, I kind of like circled back to this point where like I'm like, I can just like work on my own stuff and like be really proud of that, instead of like constantly feeling like I need to be like producing work that people can see and stuff. And like right now I'm in a position where like I'm doing probably like the most work that I've been doing like in my like career so far. And like I still feel like comfortable like taking a day and just like reading and just like chilling. And like I've found so much importance in that, because like I mean, just naturally through like the way that like social media portrays everything, it's like, I mean, this is like the most like, just like cliche things to say, but just like you're constantly like seeing people doing stuff, and it's just like, okay, I need to be doing stuff, like even if it's subconsciously, and like that like that's not real. It's like it still weighs on you, and you're still like kind of like holding yourself up to that standard. Or even just like seeing other people across the world that are like maybe your age, that are doing like other crazier things than you. You're like, damn, like I need to really be like moving faster and faster. And it's like you gotta like, especially at our age, it's like you gotta like check yourself. Like you gotta be like, dude, like I'm 19 right now. Like a lot of these, like Kanye didn't drop his first album until he was like 26. Like that's insane. Like, and that's not even his best album. Like, you know what I mean? like I don't know. And I've in the past like probably year, I've really like become a lot more comfortable with like the pace at like which I can do stuff, and like also just like giving myself time to like have a day to just like chill or like not do anything, and be like totally okay with that. And that doesn't mean that like I'm slowing down, because I'm not. Like I'm making more stuff than I probably ever have, but like it means that I'm like seeing a value in like just chilling and just like slowing down for a minute. Not even slowing down, just like I think it's like equally important to like give yourself a day or two or like a week where you're just like, I'm just gonna like relax, like, you know what I mean? And yeah, so I don't even know what that question was, but dude, yeah, that's just how I feel.
No, that's how I feel too. I think that's such a trap. I think it really is, like this idea that I need to be running, like just constantly sprinting and creating. And I was totally in that, especially in high school. I just like, I don't know what it was. I was just definitely like stuck in it, like toxic productivity. I feel like just feeling like I need to succeed at all costs necessary, like success. And I don't even think I had like evaluated like what sort of success I was going for. It was just like really like just pure ambition, but it really burnt me out actually in February of 2020 too, right before the pandemic. I was working on my collection at the time was like Spawn Retreat. I was working 16 hours to 17 hours a day, like losing sleep from doing it. And I did that for like a month and like developed an actual anxiety problem for the first time in my life. And then COVID hit, and it really, like you said, it forced everybody to slow down. And that's when I really reevaluated that whole thing. Like, what am I like sprinting so fast for and putting so much pressure on myself to work like this? And I still I feel like I'm naturally inclined to be that way, and you might say the same about yourself. I feel like you have to be. I mean, to operate like a small business at such a young age and also do a bunch of work. I mean, like you said, most people are just going to school, and that's perfectly cool. Like I honestly, I almost envy those people that can just do that and feel okay with themselves. Because like the truth of the matter is like, I start to feel like, damn, I need to be doing way more if I just chill for a little bit. And not necessarily, I have gotten to the point where I can take like a day off and just read, like you're saying, and that's been really beneficial. But I'd hope I can get to a point where I can just feel okay with like a month off or something. And when I'm saying a month off, I mean still just doing school. Do you feel like you're naturally inclined in this way to like put so much pressure on yourself? Because I feel that way about myself.
Yeah, I think I'm like naturally inclined. And then also just like, I mean, just like like, I don't know, social media and stuff, and just like working in like an industry like this, just like compounds everything. And it just like makes you feel like you have to be doing something all the time. And like, you have to be like sharing stuff. Another thing that I've like noticed is like in the past year, I've like personally and with like thoughtfully, like just like slowed down my like social media output. Like I feel no like pressure to like share stuff on social media, because it's just like, it's so shallow, and like not just shallow, but it's just like, it's not like real. It's like, it's not like your Instagram feed isn't a body of work. Like that's like, I heard someone say that, like there's this like photographer, he's from Toronto as well, named Liam McRae, and he does a lot of work for like Stussy and stuff, and like he's just like a really, really sick photographer, and he's answering like a million questions on his Instagram. And like I was screenshotting like so many gems that he was just saying as like this like really, really solid photographer who like makes a really good living for what he does. And he was just like, man, like if you're like treating like, I'm like paraphrasing, but he was basically saying like, if you're treating like Instagram as like your body of work, like that's like your body of work, that's like so depressing. Cause it's like, dude, like I can't really think of like an example of like a person, but like a real solid like artist who like you're like who like I would look up to. It's like, or like most artists that I look up to, it's like they're not doing their work so that they have like a sick Instagram feed, as like, it's like they're doing their work so they can have like a gallery, or like they can have like their product somewhere in real life, or like they can have like a retail experience. It's like those things are real and like tangible, and like you can like feel them. Like you can't feel like an Instagram post, you know what I mean? It's like like even the sickest Instagram posts, it's like you're gonna swipe by it, like you just are, like it's just like how it's built. And like that's why I've just been focusing way more on like tangible work. I'm like a huge fan of like print and like books. And I think I have been ever since like grade 11, which I feel like is when like a lot of my interests like kind of like bloomed. But like I got like Frank Ocean, like his like Boys Don't Cry magazine. I spent like my first entire paycheck on that, like buying it online for like $300, which at the time was like major. That's still got like a lot of money. Yeah, it's right behind me actually. Yeah, it's like my prized possession. Like that's like the thing that I'm like most proud of owning, because it's like those are going for like $600-700 now. Like those are insane. But like at the time, $300 was like, that's insane. I bought it off Reddit, and I was like, it was the most sketchy thing of mine. Well, it wasn't that sketchy because like it was through PayPal, so you have like insurance. But like as like a kid in grade 11, I'm like, $300, like that's like everything. Like that's a lot of money, dude. So like I was like messaging this dude every day, like, yo, have you shipped it? Do you know where it is? Like all this stuff. But anyways, like I think ever since then I've been really, really into like print, like media, like books and like zines and stuff. And it's such an art form, because like not only like the design aspect of like layout and like the way you present your work and like text and stuff, which I'm like really starting to like a lot of the work I'm going to be starting to work on is going to be kind of centered around that. But also just like the tangible feeling of like how a page is, and like the finish of a page, like the gloss or like the feeling. And like it's just like so different than like anything than that like you would see online. Like, and I've been so into it. I published like I made like a trilogy zine back like in like 2019 when I started doing like the whole seasons thing, and like season 1. And that was super fun. I only made 10 of them, and I gave them out to like the first 10 orders that season. But like that was sick. And then like in October, I kind of released like when I started, or like opened up like Don't Be Me Be You, like the whole studio side of what I do. I started it with like a zine as well. And I just put out like everything in that zine. Like for the most part, it wasn't online. Like none of that was online. So I wanted it to be like in a place where like people could hold it and like keep it offline, but like in like a body of work. And like ever since then, I've just been so into like making books and like following like publishers and stuff. And it's just like, it's such an art form. And I really don't think it's like dying. Like as much as people are like, oh, print is dead, like new media, like
it's not,
like, you know, everything's online. It's so not, because it's like, there's nothing like it. Like it's just such like a beautiful art form to me. Like even just like novels and stuff, like the way that they can be printed, and like the way a cover can be designed, or like, yeah. But I'm such a huge fan. And like now I don't spend a ton of money on books, but like I don't mind spending like $100 on like a book from like a company or like whatever, because I just know it's like there's so much work that goes into it. And like I think now I'm starting to get into like collecting like magazines and stuff, because like vintage magazines are like the sickest and such a cool you know, place of inspiration, and also there's like reference. But yeah. Is it cool if I go to the washroom quick? I'll be like really quick.
Totally
I don't.
no
okay,
problem.
sick.
No
I'll be right.
Totally good. You're totally good.
Okay.
It doesn't interrupt anything. So we were talking about print. Yeah, that's interesting. So many of the like art books are some of the, like my favorite things in the world to collect. In particular, I just bought and there's this artist that I think that you'd really like too, that I'll share with you after the podcast. Their name's Son and Zimmer. They're Chicago based design duo, and they're just like, I don't know, some of the seriously the best graphic design work I've ever seen. I just bought a book from them called Per Diem, and it's just their complete works. It's 1,000 pages. It's just this amazing book. But I've just been so into like collecting books recently, in a similar fashion to you. And I don't know, I'll just have to share that with you. But let's see, where's it again? Is there any like particular art books that you like a lot, or just any books? I don't know. You got anything on that?
Yeah. Like from my collection, I've got like I mean, it's not really much of a collection, but last year I bought like A24 did like the movie company. They released like a series of books with like some of their like movies with like, it has like the script, it's got like a foreword, and then it's got like the last like half of the book is all just like stills from the movies. And like my favorite movie probably in the world is like Moonlight. Mm-hmm. And they released like a book version of Moonlight, and it's just like I definitely like, I don't know, I was like, I have to have this. But it wasn't even that expensive. I think it was like $70 American, which is like not like for a book that's like as well like produced as this one, it's like nothing. But yeah, that's like one of my favorites that I own. I also own like all of like Pharrell's, like he's got like 2 books that are like basically like archives of like everything he's done. Like one's basically from like 2003-ish to like 2012, and then one's like from 2012 up until like 2017 or I think and it's basically just like an archive of like everything that he's done, like with like NERD and like BBC and like Ice Cream, and then just has like interviews like sprinkled in there. So like those are some of my favorite books too, and it's really cool because like they're very similar in format and like size. So they basically act as like a volume 1, volume 2. But for books like that I don't like own, like there's this really, really sick studio. I think they're actually based in like Cincinnati or something. Like it's like somewhere like kind of in the middle of nowhere. But it's called like Actual Source, and they're like a design studio. But they also act as like a publishing company. And what they do is really sick. Like they take a lot of time and care is like in like the books they publish, and like the presentation, the sleeves, like the printed stuff. So they're really, really sick. I listened to like an interview with them recently too. And a lot of the stuff they said was like super, just like major keys. So yeah, they're really sick. What about you? Do you have any like besides the one you mentioned?
I'm gonna look over. I did get I left it at school though. In my dorm, dude. It was in like behind something, and I hope I can get it back. It was Blondie McCoy's book of his 2017 show. It might have been 2019, maybe 2018. I don't know. Us and Chem, and it was this really cool. It was about 2 feet tall, probably, or 2 feet, 2 feet long, not tall. It doesn't stand up, but and it had this like really interesting mirror like finish, like reflective finish, because all the pieces were mirrors. So he would showcase the work with this just interesting finish, and it wasn't like a picture of the work in a gallery. It was like this just interesting book presentation, basically, of the show. It was really good. Didactics by Son and Zimmer, too, the group I've just mentioned, which is it's an amazing book. It kind of outlines their design process. Like they work through a lot of their pieces, and just they even give you like exercises to sort of implement some parts of their design practice and play with a little bit. That's awesome. That's one of my favorite books. And I've got none coming to the top of my head right now, but I've been trying to get my hands on there's this Helmut Lang book that's like has all of his, or like I think it's something 300. I'm forgetting the title. But I really would like to get my hands on it, and it's expensive. I think it's going for like $400 maybe. But it's just this like super rare work because he burnt all of his archive.
Oh wow!
Filing. So
that's crazy.
Like this is like to make this book, they had to go to a bunch of people who still had like old Helmut Lang and borrow their clothes and take photos of it.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, if anybody has that book who's listening, like I'm interested in buying it. So it's very hard to get. It's very hard to get. Are there any that you're looking at getting your hands on?
I'm like a big fan of like ID magazines. So like I think I'm gonna like start looking at like some archival ID magazines, and also like Interview Mag is really sick. I've been kind of like looking at some of that stuff. I also know like not to like plug A24 again, but like they dropped like a series of books for like Euphoria, which like as much as it's like a cliche or whatever, I'm actually like a huge fan of that show. So like I don't know, that'd be a sick series of books to get. I feel like there's like other books that I'm like thinking of, but I can't think of anything right now besides those. But yeah, just like I think I want to get more into like some vintage mags, because I don't know, I think just for references and stuff, it'd just be like such a great like resource. As much as like everything's online now, like just like being able to hold stuff in your hands is really sick. I've got like some like old magazines from like from the 40s and 50s that my mom gave me that are like really cool. They're just like fashion magazines, and they even just for like graphics and like logos and stuff, it's like there's some really, really solid references in there. So as much as like Pinterest has like everything, but yeah,
there is definitely there's something about the physical though. Like you really just can't. I don't even know how to explain it in any sort of productive way. Do you read just in general too? You mentioned reading. Do you read fiction, nonfiction? What are you into?
Yeah, I've been mostly reading nonfiction this year. Honestly, I wasn't even into reading until about a year and a half ago, like in January of 2020. I read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, like the Nike creator, and that's what really got me back into reading. And then since then, I've read like a lot of books, but I think I read like 17 books last year, and like trying to read more this year. And it's just like I don't know, mostly nonfiction. I read like I don't know if you ever heard of Sapiens.
I've read about half of it.
Okay, true. Yeah, I read that at the end of 2020, and then there's like a second book called it's either Homo Deus or Homo Deus. I'm pretty sure it's Homo Deus, but it's like the second book in that series. I read that in like 2 weeks, which is like kind of crazy because I wasn't doing anything else during those 2 weeks. But like I read that like maybe a month and a half ago. But yeah, mostly nonfiction. Another one of my favorite books that I read recently is like, I guess it wasn't recently, it was like a year ago, was The Power of Habit. It's really solid. But right now I'm reading this book called Lolita. It's just like a classic novel. It's like actually super weird subject matter, but it's like, it's fine. I just like borrowed it from my girlfriend. It's cool. And after that, I've got Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain, who like, I'm not even like I can't even say I'm like a huge fan of him because I haven't really seen a lot of his work. I've just heard like such good things about him as a person and like his like books and you know, I don't know, his TV shows and stuff. So I've just been like trying to get into reading one of his books for like a minute, and that's like next on my list. And then after that, I'm definitely going to read Action Bronson's new book. I don't know if you're like that into him, but yeah, he's like, just like from like the fitness standpoint, he's like the biggest crazy, inspiration, dude, right now, man. Like he's so sick. Yeah.
I just listened to his podcast like a week ago with Joe Rogan, and it was good. He's funny, and that story is just crazy. Like 130 pounds, I think.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like it's so cool. And like obviously I'm not really the same body type as him or anything, but just like the sentiment of like just like loving the body you're in and stuff, as corny as that like sounds, but like I don't know. Like I don't think I'm like a fitness dude, but like in the past year, like I guess like right before quarantine started, I started like working out, and like I've like started running in the past year and stuff. But it's just crazy, like how much you don't really realize it. I feel like even until like you actually start working out, how much pressure there is to like look a certain way and stuff. Like even me, I'm like pretty average, like height and weight. Well, not height. I'm pretty short actually, but weight, I'm like pretty average. But I thought the internet broke out. But like it's crazy. Like you just like realize how much pressure there is to like look a certain way, and just like hearing from like him, who's like he's like a big dude, but like he's still putting in work to like just like feel better. Like it's cool because it's like, even I feel like not to go on like a fitness tangent because it's like kind of whack, but like even like the whole like vibe of like just like that most guys who are working out like get into it as like, yo, like I'm gonna like bulk and cut and like I'm gonna like get like big and all that stuff. It's like, dude, like that's so toxic. Like I'd rather just be like working out enough that I can like have an ice cream and just like feel comfortable eating an ice cream, dude. Like that's my goal. I'm not trying to get like ripped. I'm just trying to be like comfy enough that I can just like, you know, like have like a donut and be like sick. Like I don't feel like brutal for having that or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't know. Action Bronson too. He also talks about like, he's like, yo, like if we're going to eat good, we're going to like work out and like lift and stuff. Like that's sick. Like, I don't know. He's like the sickest. I mean, yeah, just on, I feel like on like the food vibe between like him and Anthony Bourdain and stuff. But yeah,
that's sweet.
He's sick.
Yeah. I think like just exercise is great. And I broke my knee and like didn't exercise for like a year. Damn. I was doing a board slide and really screwed it up.
True.
But then finally last semester, but really this past semester, this latest one, I've finally like gotten back into running consistently. And it's just such a great feeling just knowing that you're not going backwards in a physical sense. I mean, I'm not running enough to like look like a superhuman and like run like 12 miles every day, but I'm running enough that I'm not falling backwards, which just relieves so much mental, I don't know, pressure that I was putting on myself for sure.
Yeah.
Like it just removes that completely. And it's like a big thing of freedom. Like I spend like 30 minutes running and then my life's more free because I don't have any pressure. Like you said, like I can eat things that I want to eat and feel okay with doing it. And I think that that's sort of like that's the thing about any sort of exercise that is really beneficial. It's just like that freedom.
Yeah, totally. Kind of off topic, but like just from just like maybe think of it from like Action Bronson, Anthony Bourdain and stuff. Do you know like Matty Matheson? Are you like into him at all, or
I don't know him.
Okay, true. I don't know. He's like he's like a chef. He's from Canada too. Like he's from nearby Toronto actually, but he's been like a huge inspiration lately too. He's got like a bunch of shows. He's got a podcast. He's actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the brand Born X-Rays from LA.
I'm not.
Maybe. Okay. No worries.
I'm out of the mix right now, man. I'm out of the mix.
Yeah, no worries. He's got like a podcast with like the owner of that, but he's got like a bunch of shows. He's got like TV shows. He's got like food, like cookbooks and stuff. But he's just been a crazy inspiration lately. He's kind of ridiculous. Like he's like this huge dude covered in tattoos. Just like super like his like shows and stuff. He's like really, really over the top. But I was listening to a podcast with him. I think it's like the Blammo podcast. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's really solid. It's like kind of centering around men's fashion, but like not too like fashion center. But he was talking about it, and like when he actually like sits down and like talks, he's actually like a really, really intelligent dude. And he was just talking about how like the pandemic kind of made it okay to basically just be like, no, like I don't want to hang out with you. Like it made it way less personal for you to be like, I don't really want you to just like sap my energy and just like I don't really want to be surrounded by you. And like, I can just say, I don't want to hang out. Like it made it like, okay. And I was like, he kind of went into it more saying stuff about like how like, yeah, I don't know. Like you kind of just got to like know who you're surrounding yourself with. And like, you don't have to feel bad if like someone's like, just like not giving you good energy. And like, this made it totally okay to just be like, yeah, I'm just going to say no to hanging out this time. But I don't know. I don't know why I brought it up, but that's just been another like crazy motivation of mine, is just like not so much surrounding yourself around people that are like going to like help you and like help you progress your career and whatever. Cause like, I think that's kind of whack, to be honest, if you like just hang out with someone because of the stuff they make or like the people they know or whatever. Like it just kind of sucks. But just like surrounding yourself with people who like not only not people who are just supporting you, because I think that's also really toxic when like you're just surrounded by people who are just like, yo, like that work you did is sick. Like I don't know who that person is that you did that work for, but like that's really cool. Like that's really sick. It's like you don't have to say that's sick, and like if you don't think it's like sick. I don't know. Anyways, I just think I've been really kind of like focusing myself on like surrounding myself with people who are like who know themselves and just like, you know, are just like you feel good being around, because like you kind of just like know it, like, you know, in like internally, like when you're around someone, if they make you feel good or they don't make you feel good. It's like a pretty easy like litmus test. So I don't know.
It's almost immediate, man. It's like really, it's almost immediate. You go into a room with somebody and it's just like a weird energy tension thing. I don't know. And yeah, totally. The last thing that you want is to be surrounded with people who you do feel completely tense with at all times. Just saps you. This is interesting because it sort of points to there's philosopher Montaigne who wrote a lot about friendship and the freedom that real I'm bringing freedom up again. The freedom that like real friendship grants people is that you are able to be around somebody, and he put it in terms of and build your virtue together. But it's like you're able to be around people and you can both improve as people, and you don't have to worry about constantly paying attention to their motives. Like if they're trying to do something to you, if there's some weird intention behind what they're saying. True friendship is sort of this, it grants you both freedom because you can just purely focus on becoming better people. And that doesn't even mean in like a success way. It just means in like being a better person. So that just sort of speaks to what you're saying too. Was this really interesting? You go ahead.
Sorry. Like even just like I don't know. like being in like a big city like Toronto, I mean, it's like kind of like naturally like, think like you're going to be surrounded by people who are like not, maybe don't have the best intentions and stuff. But it really hit me like a ton of bricks while I was there, because like I was just used to being around people like my friends who are just like, they're not really so much in the creative industries like that. Like they make stuff, but it's not really the same. And we didn't always have to be talking. Like I would share like stuff that I'm like excited that I did, or like excited that I'm working on with them, but we didn't always have to be talking about like that. And it like, so going to Toronto and like being around people who are just like, a lot of them are basically just like only interested in what you've made or what you're making or like whatever. It's just like, dude, like we could just like skate, like we could just like skateboard and like just do that. Like we don't have to be talking about that stuff. And it's not even a thing of like it's clearly not even a thing of like, I'd rather be hanging out with people who are like, doing really cool stuff themselves. It's like, no, dude, like I just want to be around people who like know themselves and like know where they're at. Like I'd rather be around someone who's like doing, nothing, or like just starting into like this whole creative industries, but like knows that they're there and like knows that they're like asking questions from a sincere place, rather than someone who's like just like doing the craziest stuff. And generally, like, I mean, even like the people who are doing the craziest stuff, they're not really talking about it, because like they don't really have time to like talk about it, because like they're just doing the stuff. You know what I mean? Like, or even like from a COVID perspective, it's like when everything's like locked down and like and stuff, it's like the people that are really like crushing it and like have like, a career that they're doing, they can't always afford to be like hanging out with people, because like they can't, that's like an even greater risk, because like they can't afford to slow down and like afford to like risk getting, COVID and having to lock down for 2 weeks. So it's like, that's like a reason why sometimes people aren't so readily available, especially like right now, is like, it's like, I can't even afford to like be out and hanging out with people, because like that scare of like having to like basically shut down everything you're doing. Like I have like homies that like, they do music videos and stuff. And it's like, they're doing music videos and out like shooting stuff in like the absolute most safe way. But it's like, besides that, they're not seeing anyone, because like they can't afford to see anyone, because like as soon as like they catch that, it's done. Like it's a wrap. Like they have to like lock down for 2 weeks, and like they can't afford to do that when they're just like, that's how they get their bag and like how they're progressing themselves. So yeah, I don't know. It really, like I was saying before, it hit me like a ton of bricks, just like almost like a culture shock when I was like in Toronto, and just being around like these people who are just like clearly very much interested in what I do rather than like me as a person. I'm just like, I'd rather just like kick it and like just like talk about like movies and music and stuff than being like, oh, like what's the next project you're doing, or like, oh, like how is working how is working with like even like a few weeks ago, Nick like from Holiday hit me up, and he was like, yo, can you draw a guy boxing? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, he's like, could you make him look like Bubba Savage? I don't know if you know who Bubba Savage is, or
yeah.
Okay, sick. Yeah. So he's like, yo, could you like make him look like Bubba Savage? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, what is this for? He's like, oh, it's like for like Bubba Savage merch. I'm like, oh, okay, sick. I like didn't even know who this 14-year-old kid was, who has like 400,000 followers on Instagram. And so like, I just like, I did it. I was like expecting Nick to like give me like some, some notes or something on it. He didn't even give me notes. He just sent me back a mock-up of this merch, and he was just like, sick, it's done. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, yeah, it's approved. Like it's Bubba Savage merch. 2 days later, it's like on their eShop. It's like done. I'm like, wow, okay, sick. Like that was cool, I guess. Like I just drew this kid, and it's not like it was like something that I was like, this is like the sickest thing I've ever done, or like whatever. It was just kind of like, yeah, like this is cool. And I don't even think it was like my best work or anything. Like it was just like, it was just like a thing. It was just like a thing I did. And so it was just shocking to me the amount of story replies that I got to this like thing that I wasn't even like hyped on. It was just like, a random job, and so many people were just like, yo, like, bro, this is insane. Like, how did you do this? Like, bro, like, this is crazy. Like, congrats. I'm like, bro, like, it's not even like I'd much rather you like I'd rather people give me that energy for something like like the lab collection that I spent like 30 days stuck in my room, like working on for like 8 hours a day, than like this drawing of like, you know, Bubba Savage that I did in like literally 2 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? So it's funny too, the way that like a lot of times the energy you get back from something isn't so much based on the artistry. It's based on like the follower count that corresponds to like the person you're working for or whatever. Dude. So
definitely.
Yeah, I kind of learned that. But
yeah, it's really a relief when you can talk to somebody about like the work itself, like completely apart from the follower count, apart from who the person is that you made the work for. It's like a relief to talk about like, oh, I was combining like, I don't know, like I was trying out a new design sort of aesthetic with like combining this type of line with like these halftone dots and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Like I think that sort of like almost I want to say like academic sort of side of the design is interesting to talk with people who are actually in the field, apart from the follower count, which a lot of people can't talk about, like the actual artistry. It's just like the fact of the matter. They're not in the industry. It's the same way I couldn't talk about I don't know, like the ins and outs of theoretical math with a mathematician. I can only really look at it and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, and then talk about the surface things, which oftentimes ends up being the follower count or like the person.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Do you get that a lot with a lot of the work you do?
I don't know. Like honestly, I haven't I feel like in the past like 2 or 3 months, I've done like a lot of work that's like, it's done and I'm just waiting for it to come out. Like the people that I've done it for are waiting to put it out. So honestly, like there hasn't been that many jobs that I've like posted. Like honestly, some of like the biggest jobs that I've done, which aren't even like that big, I don't really post them that much because I'd rather post stuff that I'm like actually really like psyched on. And like sometimes I'm psyched on like the jobs I've been doing that are a little bit more corporate, that are bigger. But sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. I don't really feel like a need to like post that stuff. There's recently there's this band, Brevin Kim. I don't know if you know them at all. They're really sick. They're pretty small. They're from Boston, I think. And I have a homie named Nico who works. He's working for Pigeons and Planes right now, like the music outlet, on like a freelance sort of basis. But he's pretty well in touch with like the dudes who own it, and they own a record label that's like basically corresponds with like a lot of the artists that they promote on there. And so Brevin Kim's like on the label, and I've been a fan of them for like a minute. They're like pretty small, but they're really sick. And Nico hit me up. He's like, "Yo, like this is also another example of me learning stuff on the fly." He's like, "Yo, like I need like these guys need some motion graphics done. Do you know anyone who can do motion graphics?" And I was like, "I can do motion graphics." I had no idea how to do. I mean, I had a basic idea. I was like, this is like I know enough about this that I can commit to it. Like I would never like when I say that like I'm like learning stuff on the job, like it's to an extent. It's like I'm not gonna like commit to like doing a 3D thing if like I have absolutely no knowledge of like anything in regards to 3D. But anyways, I was like, oh, I can do it. And he's like, okay, sick. It's for like these guys, Brevin Kim. They need like basically their album cover is done, and like the graphic designer dropped out at the last minute. But in like 48 hours, they need like a motion version of like the cover. So you need to like make it move and stuff. I was like, okay, cool. Got in touch with the dudes, whatever. Did the work really quickly in like 48 hours. I was actually working on it like in the middle of class. Because I was, like I said, like I was learning it and making it at the same time. And it was a really quick turnaround. And like that, for example, it's like probably like one of the bigger or like more notable like artists that I've worked for, even though they're not like crazy notable. But like I didn't feel like it was like as much a representation of like my work or like something that I'm like crazy proud of. So I didn't really feel more like motivated to promote it, like more than just like a story of like a story post of being like, oh, I did this. Like this is I did this. But it's not like something where I'm like, okay, this has like these people have like this many followers, so as a result, I should post this on my account and like, you know, whatever. But I mean, even like on another layer of that is like I don't even know how much, like I was saying before, like how much weight something being posted on my account has, like as opposed to like anything else. Like that's why I have like my website and like my portfolio, and like that's kind of my mindset. Like I put that on my portfolio because like I know that that's like a job that I did that I want to show off. But I think like adding another layer to the whole thing of just being like, I don't think your Instagram should be like a body of work. I also don't think your Instagram should be your portfolio. Like I think like you should probably, like, as much as it's going to cost people money, like find a way to make a website. Like that's like my biggest like recommendation. Like people who are getting into it, like even if you don't have like a crazy body of work, like I don't think it's like very sick to like, when people were like, oh, let me see your work, just like send an Instagram. Because it's like, I don't know. I just don't think I think your Instagram should like reflect you and like kind of like be an introduction to like who you are, if like you're being scouted for like jobs or whatever. Yeah. But like you should never look at someone's Instagram and be like, this is a complete picture of like them and their work and their skill set. Because it's just like, it can't be like, it shouldn't be able to be condensed into that, in my opinion. So
yeah, I don't think it should. And there's just like, if you don't have the website, you're just missing out on, and I'm saying this, I will be launching my personal website here, hopefully shortly. Yeah. But
hey, no judgment, because it took me like a year to get a website off. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna launch a website, and then from that point, it took me like a whole year to make one. So like, no judgment. I'm not like judging anyone if they don't have a website. Like that's not the point. No, but like, yeah.
No,
anyways.
that's not what I was getting. But but it's like you can do so much cool stuff with the website. Like it can look sick. It can be a way cooler presentation than Instagram could ever be. And I also just hate this like feeling to turn myself into like a commodity on Instagram. Like, this is me. You can buy me and I'll do work for you for X amount of money. Like I'm a person. I'm not like a robot that makes work. You know what I mean? And I want and I want to get to this point where my social media is just a reflection of like who I am. Like I can feel cool putting like text from the books I'm reading, showing different aspects of my life, like maybe playing chess and whatnot. It's just things I like to do that aren't necessarily related to the work. I'm not at that point yet, just because honestly, social media, like it just like feels like work to me. I need to get to this point where it doesn't feel like work. And I don't know if I will ever get there. I hope so.
No, I feel the same way. Like as much as I like to like basically just like condemn social media, it's like you can do that to an extent, but like it's basically like that'd be like basically like, I don't know. It's like it's so essential. You're not able to completely like write off social media and be like, man, my work is just going to live in the real world. It's like, no, dude, like social media is the real world. It's also kind of like reflective of like, even like I found myself having a conversation about this with someone during like June of last year, when everyone's like posting infographics and stuff surrounding like Black Lives Matter and everything, which is like I felt like there was like a kind of like opposite view where people were like, oh, like, man, I shouldn't have to like post this to like virtue signal, which I agree. Like, it shouldn't be the only thing you're doing is like posting an infographic. But like people are like, man, I shouldn't have to post this because social media isn't real life. Like, I'd rather be like doing stuff in real life. It's like, dude, like social media is real life as much as real life is at this point. Like, you can't just write off like social media because you think it's not real life. It's like, no, like, that is as like a reflection of you. It is like to an extent. So like you can't just be like, man, I'm not gonna do anything on Instagram because it's just like not real. Like it's not like a tangible thing. It's like I agree it's not real, but it's like it still is to an extent, a reflection of you and like what people see first about you. So as much as I like to like be like, man, I would love to just like delete Instagram. Like as much as like I'm for that, it's like you still have to like acknowledge like, not so much like the value in it in like a positive sense, but like the value in it as like where it fits into like, your life, probably like as like in a career standpoint and stuff. Like I'm still posting stuff that like I do. I'm still like posting work, but I don't feel like I have to do that like in a way where I'm keeping up. I'm just doing that in a way where I'm like, I'm marketing myself and like I'm like, presenting people with like the stuff that I do and stuff. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You can't just like completely write off social media just because you don't think it's like cool or like you don't think it's like good for you. It's like, that's basically just like, I don't know. That's a death wish. As much as I hate to say it, it kind of is. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I totally would love to do the same thing too, just like delete it all, to be honest. But I think what like sort of the essence of what you're getting at is, and I would agree 100%, is like it definitely has a place in like the social fabric of today, of like contemporary time. And it's not going to go away, unfortunately. And like you're saying, that line between the digital and the physical, that's as thin as it's ever been. And I think that we're going to get to the point where that line doesn't even exist. It's just complete integration in whatever way that may end up being. It could be Elon Musk's Neuralink or something. I don't know, something crazy. But it's like, that's why I don't write it off. It's another reason. It's like, this is definitely, it's important right now. And just because it's new and there's aspects of it that I don't like, I cannot just write it off. It can be beneficial to me too. So for those reasons, like I just feel like I need to think harder about it. And also it's just like really interesting to observe it from that perspective. Like, what is its true role in the social fabric? I don't think that that's been discerned by anybody yet. I mean, it has like an enormous influence on public relations, or just like the public sphere of society. And I think that people sort of pinpoint little things that are like derivatives of that, as in like, oh, social media has, it's causing some people to be depressed, blah, blah, blah. I think that there's something more elusive that's hiding behind the scenes that's like, okay, no, this is the real significance of what's going on. So I'm interested as like the years go on to see what sort of developments it takes, and like see like what really is happening, because it's so early, man. Totally. I mean, like social media really took off in what, like 2007, I want to say. I mean, that's been like, okay, math on the spot, 14 years. 14 years. And that's hardly any time in like in history. So I wonder where things are going to go, man. It's just interesting.
Totally. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's always great when you're like having a conversation and like you just like get to where you're like, that's crazy. Like you just gotta like pause and be like, that is crazy. But like also on that note, like I've tried to, it was really bad, like probably like a year and a half ago. Like I've kind of tried to like eliminate the like, that's crazy out of my like vocabulary, because it can be like so dismissive, and it's such a force of habit to be like, that's crazy. And like crazy. It's like, I don't know, like not even like from like a like dismissive point of view, but like sometimes it is like, you'd be like, wow, like that's crazy. But like sometimes I'm like, something really serious has happened, or like I've been told something and I'm like, that's crazy. That I'm just like, nah, that feels so like dismissive of like whatever's going on.
That's like a way to like put it in a box and just slide it to the side.
Yeah, totally. Not even intentionally, but totally.
Definitely. What's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to toss you something fun here.
No worries.
Well, I guess just on like this isn't, I just made this big pause to ask you this, but like, what's your summer look like, man? Like what are you doing this summer? I mean, you had mentioned it earlier a little bit, but I mean, you got some months here, man.
Well, like I said, like I'm really working on Trilogy, and I'm also really working on like this whole like sewing thing. And then hopefully like I'm going to be continuing to work for Holiday. Like I said, like on long-term freelance. And then I can't really like talk to it that much, but like I said, like I had like an interview last week that went really well at like a company in Toronto. So kind of the plan is to like move back to Toronto as long as everything continues to go well with that company. Knock on wood. I got like some test work to do from them today. It's gonna be a long night of work for this company, but it's like a like, a company that I'm like really, really huge fan of. So it's really sick. But yeah, as long as all that goes well, probably going to be moving back to Toronto and, yeah, like working on my own stuff, working on stuff for this company. And it's they have a studio. So, hopefully working out of there and, yeah, just like, I don't know what it's like where you are, but things are still they're really locked down, but like people are getting really fed up with it and kind of just like throwing caution to the wind. So, yeah. I mean, that's not me. I'm not saying that that's me, but like, I think slowly but surely things are going to be opening up, and hopefully being back in Toronto, like, I'll be able to like kick it with the homies and stuff. And, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, I haven't like planned it out like super far. And I honestly, like, I'm not even really very much someone who like plans stuff more than like a few weeks in advance anymore. Cause like, I don't know, things often tend to not work out the way that like you plan them. Like even in this house program that I was talking about, just before, like one of like the challenges basically that we had was like, okay, plan out it's like do your creative journey from like the first creative like thing you've ever done to like now. And then, plan to 2030, where you see yourself. And that was just like the worst for me. Cause I'm like, dude, I don't even know where I'm going to be in 2022, like let alone 2030. Like that's insane. It's also crazy to think that 2030 is like less than 10 years away. But, yeah, I don't know. As for like the summer, kind of just like going to be trying to just kick it, but also like get work done. I really want to crush this next Trilogy collection because I don't know how it is for you with your brand, but I've always basically up until this point, like it's so new that like I don't pay myself. I just reinvest all the money back into the company like over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So this last like season did like pretty well for me. So like I'm excited to like do some stuff that I've never done before in regards to Trilogy and like make some stuff that I've never done. So yeah, and like I'm also getting to this point where like I'm actually able to like I've always had homies that would help me out with like photography and stuff because it's just like I can do photography and I do photography, but it's like it's not like it's something that I'm like that's my discipline and like I am a photographer. So I'd much rather like leave that to like the friends of mine that are like that is what I do. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting to this point with my company where like I'm able to actually like pay like the people that I want to work for me and like pay like my homies and stuff, which is sick because it just opens the door to like so many like different eyes on like work that you've done. I think like more than anything like with clothes especially, it's so much about presentation more than it is about like the actual like content of what you're releasing. Like as much as I hate to say it, it's like a lookbook. I heard someone say once like a lookbook is like the most important thing to a brand because like people are buying the clothes because they want to look like the people in that lookbook. Like they want to look like how that is styled or how it is worn or whatever. So yeah, I'm actually like kind of unsure about who I'm gonna have like shoot the next lookbook, but like the last like lab one, I got like this homie Daniel to shoot it, and it turned out so sick. I'm always still responsible for like the layouts and like the like post-production on photos, like editing them, Lightroom, everything. So like I still take care of that because like that's something like I really, really enjoy. And also because like another reason like I have often to photograph them is because like I'm often in them as much as I hate it and like I want to completely like just cut that out. Like I don't have enough model friends to be like in the lookbook. So like oftentimes I have to be in it. But I think like with this next collection, I think the last shoot that we did will be like the last one where I'm in it for like a minute because like I just don't want to be in it. But yeah, I'm really unsure who like I'm gonna have shoot this next one, but it's like it's gonna be sick because like now I'm like about this point, like I said, where I can just like I can pick out people where I'm like I love your work and like it'd be really cool to like see how you spin the work. Even working with Daniel was so sick because like I had never like he's like a super talented photographer. His Instagram is like PR_Bourdain. And he's just like, he's the sickest. I met him like 3 years ago. And it's actually how I met a lot of people that I know from Toronto or like Brampton, which is like a suburb of Toronto. I met them at a concert, like a Tyler the Creator concert in line. We were just like waiting in line, and I was like, they just like saw me. I was waiting by myself actually, and they're like, "Yo," I was like, "Yo," and we just like started chatting. And I hadn't actually seen them in person for 3 years since then. But yeah, we linked up again, like in February to do this shoot, and it was just like so sick. Like it's really cool, like seeing someone work and like a photographer work who's like they can not only like make people on set like comfortable, but also just like produce some like really, really like just like solid stuff that like I would have no like means to do, or just like I don't have the skill set to like do that. So I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of the plan for the summer. I'm getting really excited about this next lookbook because it's always like, I don't know about you, but like the lookbooks are literally my favorite like part of making clothes pretty much. So.
Yeah, I like the lookbooks. I oftentimes, and I have this really horrible design process with the company where I definitely procrastinate, especially like the photography aspects of it. And that's something that's a part of the brand that I would like to improve is my photography. But I really like printing and like the process of printing, because I do custom, or not, what am I talking about? Custom. I hand print the clothes. I'm fortunate enough to have a little studio that I can work in, and my dad's a printmaking professor, so that's who originally taught me how to do it. So that's kind of my favorite part about it, honestly. How do you go about creating the clothes? I mean, you have your lab where obviously you're doing some cut and sew work. What about the other stuff?
I mean, I've always left that up to like professionals. I have like a company out in Welland, which is like a nearby city that does all my screen printing and embroidery stuff. I actually just found like a new place in Toronto that's been doing this stuff. But yeah, I kind of just like do the work, make the logos, make the mock-ups, and just like send it to them and just like let them handle it. As much as I would love to like eventually have a studio where I could screen print stuff myself, I kind of just leave it to them and just like more take the reins when it comes to like sewing stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, honestly, if you've got good people to make your clothes and it's like a great partnership, I think it's way more the way to go than what I'm doing. I think that because this is the problem, like you mentioned that you really enjoy the lookbook. What I get so caught up with making the clothes that it just takes up so much time, then that stuff unfortunately is kind of like on the second rung down, because I'm spending so much time printing. And I actually kind of like leaned into that on this last capsule I did, and like was doing like 12 screen shirts.
Dang. It's insane.
Like 12 colors with like wraparound prints. Because for years I've only done like, I would always think like, okay, I really got to think about how hard this is going to be to print, because I'm selling these clothes. Like I'd have to charge so much money if I want to do more. And then I was just like, I got so sick of that, and I'm just gonna lean into it and make like the craziest, hardest prints. And so I kind of got that out of me. But that's where I'm at right now. And I wouldn't recommend, unless there's a very specific reason, and to print your own clothes. Honestly, I like the freedom of being able to go make mock-ups whenever. But
that's
like
true.
Like printing the clothes, for instance, like on the made to order process, where like afterwards, that can get a little bit old. It can get a little bit old.
I mean, I think like with this other like side project that I was talking about with the shorts and stuff, and like the bootleg shirts, I'm actually gonna be printing those myself for the most part. So I'll get back to you, let you know how that goes, and like if I'm feeling it, or if I feel the same way as you, that it's like really time consuming. It's like such an art though, like just like screen printing, like I don't know, just like the idea of like each individual color being like a screen is like so sick, and like so kind of even goes back to the whole like, you know, like tangible stuff by hand and stuff. What's up? Okay. So I don't know, I think it's an art form in itself. So
you have to get back with me on what you think about it. I do like like you're saying, the tangibility of it is so nice, and there's so much like variation with what I can do as like the artist printing, and like layering the inks and the feeling that it creates, and just the types of different prints that I can do. I like exploring that. Yeah. Let's see. I think that's about all I got for you, Nick.
Cool.
It's been great. Do you have anything else that you want to like throw out there right now? Anything you want to plug?
No, I don't know. Just like my Instagram and stuff. Nick Collini and Trilogy.world. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of really cool stuff coming in the near future. So thanks for having me on. It was sick. I was like, man, I don't know if this is like super narcissistic, but I was like, man, I really want to be on a podcast. I just want to like talk to someone on podcasts because I listen to so many podcasts. So I was like, this would be sick. Cause like, I mean, I followed your stuff for like a minute, I guess. And I don't know. Yeah, you're just like a great person to talk to. So thanks for having me on.
It's been great, man. I was super happy when you reached out because I wanted to talk to you too. So, and it's been fun with podcasts. Whenever you want to get back on, like hit me up. That's what I really enjoy about it is that like I can have reoccurring guests. I like the idea of like archiving conversations. Like, okay, here was our first one. We have a second one after a few months or whatever. But yeah, let's do it again. But
I'm super down.
Yeah, I'm gonna end the recording here now.
Okay.